All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started here. I'm sure we're going to have more participants joining us as we get started. And as you arrive, again, continue to let us know where you're from. It's nice to say hello virtually. I am Charity Counts. I'm the Executive Director for AMM, and my co-host today is Avery from Mid-Atlantic Association. We're excited to bring a couple of our museum members to the panel today to share some of the things they have been doing related to activities that families and other audience members can do from home. We hope that this session not only provides a little bit of insight into their process and their creative work right now, working from home for people who are also at home, but also give you some ideas for things that you can do later just for fun. So hopefully you enjoy today's session. Avery, anything you would like to say to the group?
Just welcome. Thanks for coming back. I see a lot of you are joining in on a lot of our meetings this week, so we're happy to have you back again. Gonna give a little personal note. I have to say that the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh is one of my favorite museums. Visited there when I was very tiny. When I was in college, it was the museum that made me want to go into museums. So I'm really glad that you're here, Katie, and that you get to share a little bit about what you're doing. And Paul, I'm so excited to hear from you about Discovery World. I've never heard of this place, but it sounds magical, and I think everyone's in for a real treat.
Thanks, Avery. So our presentation lineup today is we'll have Katie from Pittsburgh and then Paul from Milwaukee present. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves in reverse order so that when Katie introduces herself, she can jump right into her presentation. But really quickly, I wanted to share that, their presentation portion of this is going to run approximately 20 minutes or so. And then we'll open it up for Q&A after that, and any kind of other ideas and things you wanted to throw out there. Please use the Q&A or chat to share questions. Anything that seems urgent that we need to stop the presenter to address mid-process, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll try to address questions at the end of each of their presentations. So, all right, so Paul, introduce yourself, and then we'll pass it to Katie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Fladten. I'm the Senior Public Relations Manager here at Discover World in Milwaukee. And much like Avery said, I wish every single person knew what Discover World is, but something I learned when I go to Summerfest next door, people ask, what's that building over there? So no matter how long you've been there, there's always work to do for marketers. And so for us, I'm excited that everyone's here to talk today and want to learn more from Katie.
Thank you. Katie?
Thanks. It's great to be here. So excited to be here. So flattered, Avery. So thank you very much. I'm Katie Koffler. I'm the Associate Director of Art and Making at the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh. And I feel like I'm coming a little bit from the opposite end. If you're in marketing, Paul, I'm in education. And I feel like this is where education and communications really have butted up against each other. And all of a sudden, we're all up in each other's business. And it's really wonderful. Should I go ahead and start screen sharing? And so I was saying to Avery and Charity and Paul before this that you're going to indulge me a little bit by looking at a lot of pictures of the museum because I'm missing it a lot. So this is jam-packed full of photos. So thank you for humoring me. And I'm going to go ahead and screen share now. So this is our museum. This is the Children's Museum of Pittsburgh, and we work with learners of all ages at our museum. We've been here since 1983, growing and changing with our visitors. Last April, it's been 1 year now, we opened a new museum for older kids. So we looked at the work that we did at the Children's Museum, and we wanted to grow with our visitors. So we continued our hands-on learning through art, making, and technology. We have a couple maker spaces between our two buildings where we make with real stuff, and we believe that joy, creativity, and curiosity are essential to learning experiences with our visitors. And we take this into our art studio as well and across the rest of our museum. We believe in using authentic tools and materials, and we hope that our learners notice and wonder and revise things. in this hands-on learning, we really believe in divergent outcomes. So when designing programs, we make sure that we're open-ended and learner-led. But as you know, things changed and we closed and we all closed and we wondered, how do we keep these authentic interactions rolling? So right before we closed, we started looking at a project that we did from 2011 to 2014 called the Make Shop Show. It was an online resource hub for makers that had a lot of videos that were teaching artists, trying new things, and providing resources. So we re-released it, but it was old. It was dated. I've been at the museum for 6 years, and this predated me. It didn't really look like us. It kind of felt like us. So like you, we rethought things too. So we started creating videos, and it was a real rush. The day that we closed, we got maybe 5 really quick videos recorded. And I don't think I'm going to be blowing anybody's mind when I'm talking about the process, because we've all gone through it. We're just figuring it out. We knew that we could show somebody how to do something, a process from the beginning, but we didn't want this to be how you do it. We thought about calling these how-to videos from the beginning, but it kind of made all of us educators wince. We don't really show how people how to do things. We ask them to try it or try it with us. So we decided to call these Let's Try activities. It felt more like the spirit of what we did. Let's try it and give it a start. Let's try it together. And they were pretty, but they lacked what we pride ourselves on, which is essentially the simple act of being human and the humanity in all of the art and making that we do. So we brought back some good old-fashioned humanity into the mix, and we started creating introductions with people. Initially, the videos were just hands, like shot from above, hands doing things. So we brought back the faces of the people that people know and love from our museum. It really seemed simple, but it took us a minute to get there. This is Kay. She's our youth teaching artist, and she's going to teach us how to make confetti poppers in this video to celebrate Museum Lab's first birthday. The video that I'm going to show you right now is not our highest viewed video, but it has a lot of the elements that we're talking about, and it's also a little embarrassing because it is a video of me. But I'm going to hit play on it.
Katie, can I pause you for
yeah.
a second? Try something and have you reshare your window again, where you maybe click off the optimization, because I think it's showing up a little bit pixelated.
Yeah, let me try again. I hope it's not my internet. Let me hit share screen.
That's okay.
It was on. It was optimized, which doesn't bode well. But I'm gonna give it another try.
Okay.
How's it look? I'm gonna hit play. If it looks bad, I can just describe what's happening and I don't actually have to play it for everybody. So stop me. Is that okay?
Hi, I'm Katie. Let's sort buttons.
Okay. Did that work okay?
Yep, I think so. When you go to share the next video, maybe don't turn off the optimization, and we'll just see if that looks even better.
Okay,
That one was fine though. We could see it.
Okay. I can also just turn off the sound. It's some pretty generic music, so I think we can also get it if that would help. So as much as I'm not into seeing my own face, and that probably took like a good 20 takes to record myself, I shared the video because we actually received feedback on this one. So this was a message that we got from one of our viewers, and they were inspired by it and they tried it at home. And I think that we're still struggling a little bit with feedback and engagement, and we're always happy to talk about what we struggle with at the museum. So that's definitely one of the things. And we're used to constant feedback and engagement. It feels really strange launching things out into the world and not hearing anything back. So my question is, how do you get engagement? So we looked at what we know. Once again, we're not experts. We're trying this for the first time too. Our museum is really big on high. It's a part of the word children, so we always emphasize it in our logo. It's part of our brand, and we miss saying hi. So we asked our friends and our visitors and our staff, anyone, to how they say hi. How do you say hi when you're social distancing? And this is what they came up with. So I'm going to unscreen share again. I'm going to turn off that optimization that you're saying. Let's see what happens.
Perfect.
Hi, friends.
Today.
I go back to this. So we really miss our visitors, and our intention is to keep reaching out to them and asking what they need. We didn't want to be the people who were telling them what they needed. We wanted to hear what they needed from us. So we did this through surveys, through our learning and research department, and we're trying to listen to their responses back. Like I said before, we're working on what it means to merge our communication and education department. All of a sudden, our new media producer and our new media manager is also a facilitator. This means the education department also has mini museums and ridiculous filming setups all through their house. So these are some of those. So what did we learn? The answer, I feel like, to what did we learn is always there's more to learn. We learned that people like YouTube, and we didn't know that. Our top 3 videos were how to make watercolor paint from old markers, that how to say hi video, and a let's try video, which was about nodding. Before the museum closed, YouTube was not our most popular social media channel, so we shifted and we started posting videos to Facebook so more people could see the videos. We also found out that people want to see people. They want to make and learn and share at home, and we're going to have to learn more about what we're sharing with them and what they need as time goes on, because I imagine that's going to change. So thank you so much, and thank you for humoring us as we learn through this with you.
It's great.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be watching for questions to come through for you. But meanwhile, Paul, if you'd like to go ahead and start sharing your screen. Tell us about Discovery World efforts.
Absolutely. So I think there's so many things that Katie said that were similar to us. I can remember, I think it was March 12th, we went into a meeting saying, everything's getting real here. And by March 14th, Discovery World was shut down for what we originally said. We're going to try opening up April 1st. Everything moved so fast, and now we're still temporarily closed. So for us being shut down March 14th, it was that following Monday, then March 17th, or that weekend basically, was like, all right, what do I have in my reserve to start doing, to start sharing messages, to start keeping outreach going live, from our department. What I think so far has been the strongest part of what's happened for us is we've created something called Discovered at Home. And it's not just for marketing. It's not just from education. Our whole team has really come together to create content, and we're creating daily content themed. So for us, I would say we have we have the education team that's normally teaching you. So we made sure they're front and center in this whole project, that you're going to see their faces. You're going to stay memorable. Much like Katie said, the experts that you see, they're not going away. In fact, they're going to get more. You're not going to see my face anymore. You're not going to see our CEO's face as much. You are going to see our educators that, as the students and families that come, you're the ones they see more often. So they really took center stage. Same with our aquarists from the Ryman Aquarium, and same with our Coles Design It Lab. So the folks that are working the front lines really have kind of become our stars, I would say, over these last 2 months. Just to give a little background. So Discover World is on Milwaukee's lakefront. We started about 30 years ago in the basement of a Boys and Girls Club. We grew to renting out a room at the Milwaukee Public Museum. We grew from there. And then 2006, we went to Milwaukee's lakefront. What that did is it gave us a beautiful new building. It really put us right on Lake Michigan, which allowed us to very highly specialize in freshwater education. But what else it did is it gave us what is now a 130,000 square foot facility. When that was originally planned, we were going to have a charter high school on a roof. Never came to fruition for a bunch of reasons. But what really ended up happening there is Discover World was built to a point where there was 10 labs and studios. So from day one, education and a robust education team became one of the driving force behind Discover World. So for us, what separates us a little bit from the museums in our area and some science cultures, science centers around this country, is we have a ton of resources put into our education team. So, when this all happened, we really came with the belief from our education team and our core mission that every single student deserves quality science education. And that quality science education could happen at Discover World, but it could also and should happen at your house too. So what we kind of created then was something called Discover World at Home. We've historically served as a resource for caregivers and for teachers. And when we shut down to the public when we closed our doors, we realized that can't go away. So that's when our the brainstorm began and all the teams started working together. And it really came from our vice president, our CEO leadership, and our co-directors of education, Paul Meck and Larissa Yankovic, that really kind of got the ball rolling with their team and said, hey, what do we have planned for summer camp? What do we have planned for this weekend's family weekend workshop that's not happening? How can we find ways to bring that into the community and not just Discover World? And right away you think, oh, we can do this, we can do that. We can do videos out of our exhibits. We can do videos out of the aquarium, which we do. But what we started with the idea that every video, every design challenge, every experiment, every lesson that we make public, we want it to happen. We want it to be accessible for everyone. So that means every utensil we use in these ideas, these experiments, is something you hopefully have at home, right? Nothing that you're going to have to go to Amazon, do an Amazon order for. Nothing that you're going to have to go to Century or Pick and Save, wherever you have to go into this. It's stuff that you have at home. So we basically made sure that our first point was every activity you get also is going to be the exact same quality, hopefully, or as close to that quality as we'd be able to give you if you came into Discovery World. So not easy, but our team has worked really hard to put some experiments together that way. And again, we made sure, as I said before, the educators that you would have known previously if you're a field trip, they're the ones you're going to be seeing. And it represented the whole team. So we went to Discover World at Home. What is Discover World at Home? I'm going to start sharing my screen at this point and show everyone our website here. So what is Discoverable at Home? This is a portion that you click right when you go on our normal website. You'll see a huge Discoverable at Home image. It takes you right here. It has become the focus of our social media. It has become the focus of my outreach to the press. And it has become the focus of our newsletters, our member newsletters. It's become the focus of our website as well. So what it is, Discoverable at Home, is activities, investigations, videos, experiments, and design challenges that use simple household materials. We want to make sure that families have access. We want to make sure that everything that we talk about is something that families are going to have access to. It sounds simple, but we even thought to the point of, you know, some people don't have access to outdoor yards. Some people don't have access to gardens. Some people don't have access to garage space. Some people don't have access to sunny windows. So for all the themes that we've been discussing, it limits you and it makes you really think outside the box, but we really worked hard to make sure that you're going to have the materials you need. And if any materials are tough, let's say we ask for straws, maybe we offer substitute ideas. So you don't have straws, perhaps use rolled up paper. If you don't have, one video we did is about pendulums and we used a weight. If you don't have weights, which most people aren't going to have, we used a shoe. So we kind of would show 2 different images of what else you could use to do these videos. So basically accessibility, just like we say in our mission, accessibility and science literacy are our mission. They stayed that with Discoverable at Home. Nothing really changed for us. So what we did is right away, we kicked off this Discoverable at Home, and we start every single Friday was when we have the most success with our newsletters on Fridays. We see a very high open rate. So we kind of shifted even the mentality of when our weeks start at Discoverable. They're kind of starting on Fridays for us when we kick off our new themed week. So of course, this with, I think we're on week 6 as of right now. We had to start off with Newton's laws of motions. We definitely played up the fact that, you know, when the Great Plague was happening, Newton created his laws of motions under the Great Plague. So what a great way to start. It also was able to tie in, the press really kind of ate that up a little bit. So it was a way to kick it off with fun. And what you do, so every single week, a new theme will be unveiled. So the one theme that I'm gonna show you right here is flight, but all of these other images that you'll see on the website, those at one point were experiments or activities or design challenges that happened per week. So when we started this, we only had 5. And we wanted to make sure that when someone would click onto our website and go to our program, they'd be able to see everything we offered. So they get broken down, but every single week we'll have a new fun graphic that launches it off with a new story. And you'll go into an activity like flight here. So what we did Monday is we talked about flight with a zip line cable. So our Cole's Design It Lab, who is a makerspace, much like, I'm guessing much like Katie's is, it's an area where you come in, you prototype, you design, you all resources, materials, a lot of recyclable materials, stuff that you should have at home. They've really helped us do a lot with the design challenges. So one thing they offered was a simple design challenge on Monday that we do, and we'll take pictures, but we will also create lesson plans with introductions, the materials you need before you start, directions, and simple photos to go. And we always, you know, at the end we'll have what's happening here. We'll explain it, how you can take this step further if this is something that your student or your family member is really interested in. And of course, we always ask people to submit photos back to us. So this is one of the ideas we did, is to create a simple lesson plan that we would have done in our program with you, but we've made it so the fact that you can do this from home. So we share it that way. Other ones, for this week, we're doing a bird watching journal. This one we released today on our website. And I think with just how beautiful it is outside in Milwaukee right now, people are ready to get outside. It's one of our more popular posts we've done in a month, realistically. But I think just having showing simple photos of what you're gonna create, that it is accessible, it is something you are able to do with your children, shows it right there. That's just one. I would say another thing that we've been really into, paper airplane design. We've also done a lot of video. That includes taped video that we'll do at home. Much like Katie said too, that took a little learning. I think for some of us who do video daily, it's kind of easy, you know what you're set up for. For people that have not done many videos, there's talk about lighting, there's talk about audio. One rule we learned is no matter how amazing your video is, if the audio is bad, people will turn that off in 1 second. So as much as you think it's all the video and the look behind you, it's just as much the audio presentation. But you know, there's not a ton of us that are on site right now every day. One team that has to be on site every day is our Ryman Aquarists to make sure their fish are safe. So what we've done with them is our aquarists have also, they've been putting out a piece of content every week on a Friday that's taped or it's a lesson plan. But what also we've started doing is we've started doing every single Tuesday, taking you to live streams from the Ryman Aquarium that tie into our week. So with flight yesterday, we talked about the cow-nosed stingray and how when she swims, there's very similar aspects to flight. So we would tie in aspects that way. 2 weeks ago, we had a theme that was about density and floating. So we did a swim bladders live video where our aquarists talked about how fish why they don't sink or why they don't float, why they stay right where they are. We've definitely tried to use everything at our disposal. We know that our aquarists are pulling double duty right now. They've enjoyed it. It's been really fun. The two, Danny, as you see in that picture there, and also Melissa, who's been a great part of it. On their own time, and even with us, they were always doing their own social media from the aquarium too. So there's no reason to hide that. So we let them share their tags. Of course, we send it out from Discover World brands, but we let them tag themselves, keep their brand going too. I am definitely in the box. I believe influencers are very important, especially influencers on your team that have already bought into your mission. It's very helpful. So, a video here that we would do, this was a Facebook Live. We would then eventually edit it to keep it on Facebook. So we have our 50,000 there. But eventually we'd move it over and do some editing as well, so to discover our YouTube page. So I'm not going to make everyone watch our videos. They're all out there. Some are 5 minutes long. With the Facebook algorithm that puts you in front of gives you more impressions if you're 3 minutes or longer. We've definitely taken advantage of that. All of our videos are 3 minutes to get that extra 3-time rate. And again, very close to what Katie said, we always had YouTube. I would say that I was using YouTube as our Discover World media manager the wrong way. I was using it almost as a content database and holding things there for what I needed it for social, instead of using it for the social media platform that it actually is. So we've really went to making live videos on YouTube. We've actually opened 3 live streams into the aquarium to keep people able to watch we definitely focused on all the studies that say mental health can improve in aquariums. So we've used those stats and also just given access inside of the Ryman Aquarium at all times. So far, our themes that we've focused on are Newton's Laws at Home, Backyard Astronomy, which we did some moon phase journals, created 3D stars. We've also done, kind of getting through all of them, we've done codes. The codes were a blast. We were able to look at Morse code activities. We were able to do Siddeley messages. One thing that we really took advantage of is we realized that we have a pretty robust team, about 120 people at Discover World. And what I've definitely learned is almost every single one of them has a passion outside of the building, outside of Discover World, that relates to this, right? So for our coding workshop, this is Eric Lawrence. He's also a pretty famous he's a Twitch streamer. So he's really well known in that industry. So he has all of this set up at his house. He also teaches our coding workshops. He's a voice for First Robotics. So we thought, all right, it's time to use Eric not just as an educator. Let's use Eric's best talents going, for this. So he did a 90-minute live stream coding workshop on coding day and during our coding week, where he started off just kind of showing where you go, going to hour of code, but also creating a kind of a living document that I've used now with my kindergartner that went in and showed, it was called Code Monkey Junior. So it just showed you how to interact with these coding games with your students at what age. And he went through about 3 different levels of hard, medium, difficult, what age group. And just for me, this became like my coding workshop database library that I go back to now when I'm still picking out stuff for Annie and Lucy. So we've just tried to build what our education team does out of Discover World. We've tried to bring that to you remotely. It's been tough. We've learned how to do filming better. We've learned how to put things, to make things more organized on our website. But it's been a blast. And, one thing I will say too, and I don't know the exact, we've raised a lot of money with our board members too, using Discover World at Home as our platform to say, hey, we know people aren't coming. We know you want to support this. We hope you want to support Discover World in the future. Here's how we're doing it. Would you like to, throw some money? We'll put your logo on there, and it really would help us out at the same time. So we've used Discover World at Home just like we would anything at our education team at Discover World. Other ones, density floating, kitchen chemistry, flight, weeks we have upcoming are patterns in nature, the science of Milwaukee, sound. We have a huge portion to discover about Les Paul because he was born in Waukesha. But yeah, that's really it. I would say one thing that we've used is a network attached storage to transfer those files. So if anyone is interested in working through this and having trouble with files, there are ways to share files between people. One thing that's been really important for us is to have a designated editor. So of course, in how our senior videographer left for a new position a week before everything went, like March 7th. So we're like, oh, okay, now our whole world is videos. What are we going to do? luckily we had a team member who's been with us forever and has so many talents that he's like, also he stepped up and did it. But it's nice because when those videos funnel into Rich, they all have the same look. They all use the same logo. It's when we first started, we're getting 10 different videos from all different people. They looked different. So we had to make sure that if we're going to use this as if this really is the Discover World staple that we're going to use going forward, we're going to brand it well. We're going to give it a similar message and look and really be proud of it. And I would definitely say that's where we're at. So that's really what I have for this. Happy to answer any questions or go from there.
Thanks, Paul. We did get a couple questions come through for, I think, really for both you and Katie. The first question is from Karen in Kansas City, I believe, with the American Jazz Museum. She says she needs to create musical ideas to engage and reconnect with their audience. Do you have any musical tips for children and adults to assist them in exploring their museum? Or have you tried any kind of online programs in that way?
That's something we're actually working on this week. We have one of our members submitted. So we live in the home of Mr. Rogers. Pittsburgh is Mr. Rogers' land. So we're taking one of his songs. I think it's "Won't You Be My Neighbor," and someone is singing that, and then we're asking for submissions back. But I feel like that was kind of markety. So we put a spin on it where we're also creating hands-on instrument making at home. So Rebecca and Sarah, two people who work in our makerspace, are going live this week on Facebook, I believe, to engage with the audience and create some instruments at home too. And then we're going to layer in, we're working with the Pittsburgh Symphony to like layer in music that they've done with submissions that our public has sent us to hopefully create a beautiful song. I can't wait to see what comes out of it.
We're similar. So May 25th for us is when we kick off our week of sound. And similar to your Mr. Rogers, we have Les Paul is our go-to guy at Discover World, right? His wake was actually held at Discover World. His birthday is June 9th. So while we're a couple weeks ahead of his actual birthday, I believe one activity they're going to do is make a milk carton guitar. We actually look at Les as the tinkerer more than just music, right? So we like to talk about how he stole a railroad tie and made his first ever guitar out of a railroad, and talked about kind of like how he created things his own way. So if you look, and I'm happy to share going forward, we will have May 25th, we will have a full week of sound stuff coming out. I just don't have the exact projects ahead of me, but there will be a ton coming from us.
Thank you. Well, hopefully that answers your question somewhat, Karen. You might just have to start following Pittsburgh Children's Museum and Discover World to see what they've got. A couple other questions for you both. Many museum social media managers have reported decreased engagement numbers. How have your numbers ebbed and flowed through this process?
I'll go first. Ours have increased on social, and our newsletter rate has absolutely jumped off the charts. I think what we did for newsletter portion is we started, it was actually accidental because something wasn't done. We always go out Friday at 9 a.m. and we had a new program that we installed about 3 weeks ago called an essential member, for essential members. So anyone that buys a membership from our shutdown date 20 open, we will donate an essential membership to a partner group, an essential member in the community. So what happened is it got a little delayed and we had to go out at noon. What we found out is our open rate, I think it jumped up from like between 18 to 28%, which is huge for us realistically. So we've seen much better interactions there. We have also seen engagement increase on so we have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I have Pinterest and Snapchat saved, but just not the time to ever give, or TikTok ever to give those the right, to give them what they need. So we don't actually go live with those. But I think the reason that we're seeing higher engagement levels is I think because we're producing more quality content and more regular content, and our content has become more important than it was for us at one point. And I think what we've seen is everyone on the team has already said, okay, we see the importance here. We are going to keep going with this even when we're back in the building and everything's back to 100% a few years, whenever that is. This is not going away. So I think for us, we've seen an increase actually.
How about you, Katie?
I don't really have the real answer. I just texted our social media director, her new media, Director SOS to ask this question, but she gave me a bunch of numbers, but they mean nothing compared to what the previous numbers were. So I don't know. I'm guessing that they've jumped, especially on YouTube, just because we're posting way more content than we were before. We also are on. We don't have a Snapchat. I think we fiddled with that at one time, and we did make a TikTok, and we secretly got really into TikTok over this whole time, and I get it now. And we have that middle school. We have a middle school in Museum Lab on the second floor, and this is like their domain. So I think that's something that we'll get to, and hopefully we'll get some traction on. But it's still in the process. So I don't have an answer on the numbers. I'm sorry, but Team TikTok over here, I don't know.
Charity, can I jump in one thing from the previous question for you? So
Yeah.
I'm not the education guy, right? Like I started an education team to help grow sales and do certain this ways, but I wasn't a teacher. So, but a lot of times I would have to go to fairs and festivals and do fun projects and stuff that was a little over my head. One resource that I would share with anyone, and everyone may know this already, but howtosmile.org. You literally will type in exactly what your theme is, what your topic is, how much time you have to present, what age level, and it'll spit you out like every aggregated one they've ever come up with. So for me, it's been cheating of how to find some fun projects when I'm not qualified all the time to give you those answers. So it's been howtosmile.org has saved me a few times, and I would recommend it to anyone looking for different projects they might not have yet.
Right. And I have wondered, thinking about just the idea that engagements, decreased or increased. It may be dependent on the type of activities that are being put out there too. I think if you're offering hands-on and engaging activities versus virtual tours, those may get more traction. I also would consider everybody, as a parent of a 9-year-old who already talks all the time about who they're subscribing to, and they care deeply about this already at a young age, that I think for young parents and kids out there who are getting to explore on YouTube and stuff, if encouraging, great fun educational activities for young people, I think are hard to find, where they could just click through and keep watching them. So, keep that in mind as an opportunity. I feel like that's part of what the lesson is here with YouTube as a place for something. So moving on to some other questions here. Let's see. What do you do to help reach audiences who have limited connectivity or internet access, or even the hardware to get to a website to see these great activities?
That's a great question. I mean, that's definitely something we're still struggling with and we're still working with. We've opened up the front porch of our museum as a place to share food resources, and we're looking at that as a way that maybe we can share some zines or some materials with some of our visitors. We're also partnering with local daycares on the north side of Pittsburgh to provide them with with supplies that come with, I just don't want to call them kits, boxes of possibilities. And we've also restarted our after school program and have a lot of supplies, and then these kids engage online. So the online component with that is still important, but we're trying to figure out how to get these boxes out to the public without that. It's so tricky. We're struggling with it.
I would say differently in a different kind of mentality here. It's that one thing I did right away is start attacking more traditional media forms. Like we started getting stuff in the journal again, which, the Journal Sentinel for us, it's a big publication, but it's went away. We've also wanted to get more just TV broadcast impressions and try to go traditional ways that way, I would say.
That's a great idea. Writing that one down for
This is the best part. We get to all steal each other's ideas. It's great.
Sure.
Right. It's a collaboration session here. Okay, I think another question that came in Paul mentioned Friday as a day of high online program engagement. Is anyone seeing other trends to target efforts at certain times for the best reach or bang for the buck?
I would just start with, we measure everything now. Like I always did. And it's really, but everything is flip-flopped. So I used to have, like, after 9 years on the gig, I had my times that I was going with every single thing. I've seen it all shift. So everything now I'm tracking and I'm changing a little bit. Today we sent out a member newsletter at 1:30, and that probably would have went out in a different time at 10 a.m. And within the first 2 minutes, we usually would see like a 5% open rate. This time we saw a 5% open rate in the first 30 seconds. So I haven't checked it since then. I can't wait to see what it is. But I'm just seeing one thing as I've seen later. I think, and as a parent now who would take their kids and drop them off at school and you're up 2 hours earlier, I just see a slower engagement period, especially on the education side from us. So I'm just kind of measuring and doing things a little later in the day.
I actually agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to like chime in here, but I've been experimenting with our MailChimp analytics with MAM even. We usually do web blasts or email blasts in the beginning of the week, but now I'm learning that nobody's ready to open those Monday morning. So I've been sending out updates on Thursday late morning or Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. We've had a much higher open rate. It's interesting to see how it's changed over time. So didn't mean to jump in, but Katie, if you wanted to jump in.
No, I'm going to take your answer because once again, I'm not in marketing. I don't know. So I'm sorry. I feel like I'm starting to feel unqualified for this.
No, not at all.
You just have to be willing to do it, I think. A lot of times everyone's so stuck in their ways, like, I'm sending it my time no matter what. And I think we're not publicly funded. We're a privately funded museum. So I'm not saying that interferes with anything, but it gives you more freedom to kind of set things the way you would. And one thing is just trying to change the marketing scape a little bit and just the outreach. And it's definitely, there has been changes. Tell everyone, keep monitoring those, because it's gonna keep that way until everything is somewhat back to normal. Things are just in this state of flux, and the better that you can manage or find out what your audience is doing and how they want to be spoken with or communicated with, the better it's going to be.
I know that's part of the reason why we all seek consistency is it makes our jobs easier, but we have been given the biggest excuse ever to like experiment and not be consistent. And so this is your chance to kind of play around with that. You know, what is it that people are doing all day and who's opening? So go ahead, Katie. Sure. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's really great that there's all the possibility in the world with this, right? We can try everything. I don't know, our executive director is like, blow everything up right now and let's try something new with everything. And I think that that's just the best outlook. And I feel really lucky to be in that boat. But I also just wish I had my social media or communications person here to answer questions with you.
Oh, you're doing a great job. I think I do want to point out, first of all, I love both of your museums. I get the Discovery World newsletters, and I open every single one of them because they make me laugh every time. And one of the tricks they've been doing this for a long time now, is to apply a persona, like a human persona does something. And so Winter had a whole persona last year and made me laugh so hard all the time because Winter's just snarky and like knows you want to get rid of her or him or whatever and all of that. But like lately it's been a turtle and some other things too. Ooh. So I think that's been, for me, entertaining as a person who just needs a break in the day. So,
you know, and we do things non-traditionally with our newsletter too, right? There was one that went out a couple weeks ago that was like 4,000 words. And when someone opens that, they're like, huh? And you know, like, and then we get it. And there's even people on our team that say like, that's pretty lengthy. I could only get through this much, but we get your responses by having this. So we have a writer on our staff who's a hidden gem, who's like a comedian in the 80s. His name is Ryan Cressy, and he is the author behind those, but he also like lives and breathes Discover World and who we are. And he's given even in our museum, that's the tone you get between our exhibits and our copy. And it gives us a different identity, but it's also really fun. And you're not regurgitating the same marketing spiel every time in a newsletter that shouldn't be that. And I was guilty of that, right? I used to run my own business on a shoestring budget. So for me, I just had this idea of like, I'm just going to make it right to the point and get my audience and get the sale in. And that's not how it is, especially when you have members that are just already on board for a year. They want to have fun and they want to have introductions. And when we failed our live stream in the Ryman Aquarium, it was way more fun than having one of us say it. It was way more fun to have Boot come out and tell you their spokes turtle, right? It was just, we love doing it. And I'm glad that charity people like you are responding that way, because we get, I would say more, there's tweets and comments and replies that come into our newsletter that I'm thinking of than the other newsletters I receive from like a Jimmy John's or someone that don't really have that. I'm not calling out them, I just threw a name out there, but that don't have like that identity. It's been really fun and a way just to kind of get the open rate going this time.
Cool. Any other questions out there? We're about the 45-minute mark here. I realize people may have other things they want to do in this day. All right. I'm not seeing any new questions coming through. I'd like to say thank you once again to Katie and Paul. Thank you for being here today and sharing what you've been working on. All great projects. I hope that we can all get a little bit of time to go play around on your websites and YouTube channels. Everyone should follow these two museums going forward, see what they're doing. Watch out for those fun projects coming up. And I would say to all of you out there who are listening and watching today, I hope that you're hanging in there and look forward to seeing you in the last 2 days of Spring and Wellbeing Week if you're tuning in. Avery, anything you want to say?
You covered it pretty well. I can't believe it's Wednesday. I can't believe it's almost the end of Wednesday at this point.
I know.
So everybody take care, and we'll see you over the next 2 days.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
evenings.